Real threat of multiple hospitals closing in Connecticut, there is at least some hope on the horizon. Hartford Hospital is bidding on buying several smaller hospitals, and Conn Health is looking to buy a few others. So how did we get here, and how likely are these deals to go through, because past deals haven't gone through? Senator Jeff Gordon is a member of the Public Health Committee, a Republican from Woodstock, also a physician by trade. Welcome back, Senator Gordon. Good to see you.
Thank you.
You practiced at some of these hospitals. State Kimball's one of them. Private equity firm Prospect Medical Holdings owned a few of these hospitals, filed for bankruptcy. When that happens, because you're on the front lines, when they file for bankruptcy, how does that affect patient care?
Oh, it affects it in a hugely bad way, because you don't know if the hospital can provide services, provide the drugs that are needed, the equipment, even keep the employees employed. They could just shutter the doors one day because they're in bankruptcy. So it's a very scary situation for patients and the employees caring for patients.
They don't know if they're going to get their paycheck or what's going to happen.
Have no idea whatsoever. It's massively unsettling.
So as far as the solutions that are at least on the table now, let's take a look at the bigger picture here. There's a proposal. The first one, Conn Health is looking to acquire Waterbury, Day Kimball, which is a place you have rights and a practice there, Bristol Hospital. Hartford Healthcare also in the mix. They already own 7 hospitals. They would like to buy Rockville General and Manchester Memorial. And New Haven Health, the other big player in the hospital space, owns 4 hospitals in Connecticut. And as we know, Yale New Haven Health tried to buy these 4 hospitals a little while ago, a year or 2 ago. You were critical of the state agency that was overseeing that transaction to approve or deny that. What was your criticism and why? Remind us.
The criticism was that the Office of Health Strategy dragged this out for a very long time before it made the approval, made a gigantic mess of it. They contributed to the deal collapsing. If they had done their job and done what's right for people of Connecticut who need those hospitals, this would have already been done, and not to the bad degree we see now. It could have prevented a whole bankruptcy mess.
Now, you're on the front lines, as I said before, but I've also interviewed people from that office, and they say, look, this is a very complex transaction. There's lots of equipment. There's lots of financials. But you're still saying this took longer than it. For example, how would another agency be able to do this more quickly than was done, would you think?
I cite what they do in Massachusetts. They have more complicated healthcare systems in Boston than we do here in Connecticut. Yet they have a statutory system in place that they can get this done in a pretty quick manner. And I had submitted legislation putting patients over profits to see if we can reform Certificate of Need in other states seem to be able to do, including New York, for example. We couldn't get that passed this year. So it can be done, because other states with more complicated systems show us they can get it done.
So for people who don't know what Certificate of Need means, tell me what that means. If I want to buy an x-ray machine, I have to say, look, state of Connecticut, I need an x-ray machine. And they have to look at your hospital and say, you already have 5. Why do you need another? Is that similar to what Certificate of Need is?
That's what it is. It's a permission slip.
Okay.
So if you want to do something, you want to expand, you want to cut a service, buy a new x-ray machine, build a new wing on your hospital, you got to get state permission. And then the state goes through its bureaucratic process and can say yes or no.
And right now, it's too long, in your opinion.
Oh, it's way too long. It's too opaque. It doesn't have any accountability. We've seen that with the Prospect mess that led to Yale not being able to buy the hospitals when it wanted to.
Right.
And we need to fix it. I think my colleagues and I, in a bipartisan way, had a really good common sense bill modeled on Massachusetts and Rhode Island and some on New York. Couldn't get it passed. We're going to submit it again next year.
So now these deals on the table, do you think they will happen in a more expeditious fashion, or do you think it's going to be dragged out for another, the Conn Health and the Hartford Healthcare deals trying to buy these hospitals? How do you feel about that getting passed?
I think it's now going to be fast-tracked, because dealing with Prospect, we have to deal with the bankruptcy court, and the bankruptcy court's not going to want to waste time. So that's going to force the state to do things in a timely manner. And I think the state now realizes it can't be messing this up with regards to Conn with some of these hospitals, because what else is going to happen? We can't have these hospitals close. We can't let private equity come in. So I think now the state is going to do its due diligence and do it in a timely manner and not drag it out.
So Prospect Holding, that private equity firm, got us here for these hospitals that are up for sale now. Should the rules be different around private equity and their role in hospitals than what they are?
Absolutely.
How should they be different?
They should be banned.
Banned, totally.
That's what I've advocated for. In fact, that's one of the bills I submitted. If we can't ban them, we should heavily regulate them. They're bad actors. They're bad actors on the national stage. Congress has shown that in reports that came out, how bad they are. We should actually be doing what other states are doing, which is trying to severely limit them or not letting them come in at all to be involved with hospitals, buy any more hospitals in Connecticut. So if we can't ban them, we should really heavily regulate, perhaps to a point that they don't want to come back to Connecticut. Because how can we literally afford another private equity mess that's right now costing us hundreds of millions of dollars?
That's state taxpayer money that's going to have to fix that.
Absolutely. If you bond money, for example, that's taxpayer money.
Right.
I'm not arguing that we can't do it, but we should not set a stage to let that ever happen again.
Senator Jeff Gordon, we got to leave it there.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you. Thank you.